This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Is there a veterinarian in the house? Of course there is, and it's not just any veterinarian. I'm talking, we've got one of the top ones on the planet on our show today. She knows cats, she knows dogs, and her advice has helped millions. Please give pause and applause to Dr. Kathryn Primm. Hey, welcome to the show, Dr. Kat.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, folks, does her voice sound familiar? It should. That's because Dr. Primm is the host of not one, but two shows on our Pet Life Radio network. She is the host of 9 Lives with Dr. Cat, and she hosts Dr. Cat Gone to the Dogs. And what's also pretty cool about this gal is she is the very first professional in the world of pets to be fear-free certified. Woohoo! That's pretty amazing. How did you get to that status? You are numero uno, and now there are thousands.
Well, it's kind of a fun story because I am a single practitioner. I used to be a single practitioner. I was the only veterinarian at my hospital, and I was experiencing kind of some burnout. I thought I was just feeling like I was losing my passion, I guess you would say, and I won a contest to go to New York, all expenses paid, to go to New York for me and my husband to meet Dr. Marty Becker and to see him record on Good Morning America.
Wow.
And yeah, isn't that cool? So I met him, and he's fascinating and just so real and authentic. And I started to watch his social media and go to meetings where he was speaking, and he started talking about the Fear Free program, and it wasn't launched yet, but he was very inspiring. And so I was waiting for it to launch, and I was just waiting there, and I sort of know a little bit about launches, and so I kind of tried to log in a little earlier than I thought it would be publicly available, and it worked. So I was able to start my certification program just a smidge earlier than midnight, and I finished my modules at 4 a.m. to become the world's first fear-free certified professional.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of caffeine you poured down your gullet, didn't it?
That is a true story.
Oh my gosh, we're going to find out more about Dr. Kathryn Primm after we pay for this show by taking a quick commercial break. So you guys know the drill. Just sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Hey, it's me again. Yep, Arden Moore, host of the Oh Behave Show, doing this commercial. You know what I love? I love my cats. I love pet safety cat Casey. I love my sweet Mikey. And I love one-eyed Morty. Each one has their unique personality. Casey's a pet safety cat and teaches pet first aid. Mikey loves to lounge on the couch and purr in your lap. And one-eyed Morty, he's just a purr machine. Now, you know what I don't love? Cleaning up the litter for Casey, Mikey, and Morty, which is why Arm & Hammer created new cloud control litter. There's no cloud of nasties now when I scoop. It's 100% dust-free. It's free of heavy perfumes, and it reduces airborne dander from scooping. Yahoo! So, what happens in the litter box stays in the litter box. New cloud control cat litter by Arm & Hammer. More power to you.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I have longed to meet Dr. Kat. I love the name. Kathryn Primm. That's Primm with 2 M's because she's mighty and marvelous. And in addition to all of that, she is the owner of Applebrook Animal Hospital in a town that only people like Vanna White just really crave because of all the vowels. What's the name of your town in Tennessee?
It's called Ooltewah.
Ooltewah. All right. Just for fun, spell it because I want people to try to guess how many vowels are in that name.
Well, it is spelled Ooltewah.
Wow, that's 4 vowels. Do you know what it means? Is that an Indian name or do you know?
It is, according to what I've heard, it is a Cherokee word that means owl's nest. And of course, we're in the mountains. And I think that that's true because all of the local sports teams and schools tend to have an owl as their mascot. So
who knew? You knew that I was going to say that. Well, folks, Dr. Kathryn Primm, she does really want to get good information out to not only pet professionals, but pet parents. You know, we were just starting to talk a little bit about fear-free pets, and the timing is perfect because one of the most challenging times for dogs and cats is right around the corner, and we're talking about the 4th of July. So can you tell us a little bit about what it means you're a fear-free pet certified professional? But what's that mean to the dog and the cat? How are you helping them out?
Well, Dr. Becker initially recognized that fear, anxiety, and stress, which in the fear-free certified professional world, we just call it FAS, that fear, anxiety, and stress were impacting pets in a very negative way, especially at the veterinary hospital, which is where it kind of all began. And I started to become aware of those things, and I saw the signs of fear, anxiety, and stress written all over my patients. And I love to joke and say, when I was a little girl, I wanted to become a veterinarian. I used to have my little Barbie dolls, and I had a Barbie dream home, only Barbie's dream home was actually an animal clinic. And in my games, never did the pets hide from Barbie. They all were happy to see Barbie. And
cool.
So when I got into practice and the pets were hiding from me and they didn't want to come in the front door, it really took a toll on me. And this has made a huge difference for me and for my team.
And just get a couple specifics for our listeners. They're like, okay, reducing fear, anxiety, and stress. Are you drugging the pets? What are you doing? How do you get their mood shifted to hello, doctor?
Well, you know, a lot of people are afraid of quote unquote drugging, but drugs have a role in certain pets, but sometimes it's easier than that. Sometimes it's just the way you approach the pet or touch the pet. Sometimes it's just the way your hospital seems in the eyes of the pet. You have to kind of imagine that you're a little animal, and the way you might see the world, you know, from the inside of a cat carrier, for example, or if you're walking into an animal hospital and other afraid animals have urinated on the floor and there's still an odor there, it's like a big sign that says, run, run. This is a fearful, scary place. It's like if you went to the hospital and you could hear other patients screaming and moaning as you came in the door, that wouldn't inspire you to enter for sure.
No. And, you've touched on something, and that's their nose, correct? So the power of their scent. I think sometimes people don't realize how powerful a dog or a cat's ability to smell their surroundings and make an observation.
Well, absolutely. They are very scent and they just have a lot of ability to perceive things that we cannot. So a cat can smell 14 times better than a human. Wow. And I think dogs are even more than that. They're just amazing. So they're tuned into their senses. So when I went on to help author the level 2 module for fear-free certification, right, we sort of broke it down into the ways that animals can perceive, what they see, what they smell, what they hear, and what they feel. Cats actually have sensors in the pads of their feet for vibration.
Wow.
So that's amazing. So here we are, at an animal hospital, and traditionally we had a metal table. So it's cold metal, and metal conducts vibration. So this poor cat is being stuffed in a box carried in a car, which is full of vibration and noise and scary changes and temperature changes, and then carted into an animal hospital, a traditional animal hospital, where they're set on the floor and a dog comes and looks in their only escape route. I mean, it was just really horrifying, and we just didn't realize it. Veterinarians just didn't realize it.
And so what are some things that you could give to help the person? Like, I'm taking Mikey. I got married a couple years ago, and I inherited a furry Brady Bunch. So Mikey is a black cat. She's 13, and she's going to see a fear-free certified veterinarian, Dr. Deborah Charles, today. And I got to tell you, she loves the carrier now, but when I got married, she was like, not the carrier! And so is there a few tips and tricks you can give our folks with either dogs or cats to en route to make this a little bit less of a scary voyage?
Well, absolutely. And the first step you've already made by choosing a fear-free certified veterinarian, because that veterinarian will be able to provide you with information about making vet visits better. But to the pet owners that maybe haven't chosen that yet, there is also a resource just for pet owners, and it's called Fear-Free Happy Homes, and it's fearfreehappyhomes.com. And there are all kinds of infographics and handouts and videos so that a pet owner can educate themselves to be aware of the signs of fear and anxiety and sort of head those things off. But I think the biggest thing you can do is put yourself in the shoes or the paw prints of your pet. You know, what are they seeing? How would that seem to you if you were small and afraid and could hear and smell and see so much better than a person can?
That's really good. We've got a big holiday coming up in the 4th of July, and in Texas here, I'm in Dallas now, we just got a major Mother Nature attitude where we had this major storm that basically took out our power for a few days, but it was started with 70-mile-per-hour winds and hail and branches all over the place, and that could turn a big dog into a puddle quickly, right? So are there some tips that you can offer our listeners on how they can maybe help reduce fear, anxiety, and stress in their dogs and cats for the 4th of July or some of these summer storms?
Well, I think this sounds self-serving, but I think your first resource is your veterinarian, because they know your pet. So they can tailor a plan to your pet's specific medical challenges or age or breed or species. So your first stop is your veterinarian. But there are some other things. And again, on Fear-Free Happy Homes, they actually have this great infographic that tells you all these different ways, that I'm going to mention to minimize fear, anxiety, and stress based on noises outside or fireworks and that kind of thing. Good. There are things you can use like a thunder shirt or a compression garment. So that follows the same theory as swaddling an infant, that our brains respond favorably to that even pressure, that it's comforting. So that is certainly an option. No harm. You can't really do any harm with that. And it's worth a shot, I think.
And what would be another thing? I mean, obviously, your dog or cat really is adept at reading our emotional states. So baby talk, good, bad, or punishing or yelling at a dog that's scared, these are like bozo no-nos, right?
Oh, absolutely. Punishment really has no place in management of a fear, anxiety response. But the first step is recognizing that it's a fear, anxiety response. So perhaps buffering those noises, buffering a safe place. I love a safe place. My dog has a safe place that is covered with a quilt. We have a little crate for her that she can go in at will when she feels afraid. And we can drown out scary noises with a fan, or even on your device. You might be able to find what simulates a fan if you don't have a box fan. Oh, yeah. And they're little free apps. I have them on my iPad. So buffering the light so she doesn't see the flickering lights, that's very scary to her. So these are all cheap, free, and easy ways that you can make this whole experience better for your pet.
Yes, I think that sounds great. Hey, folks, we're speaking with Dr. Kathryn Primm. She is a veterinarian that operates at the Applebrook Animal Hospital in Tennessee. She is also a leading expert in fear, anxiety, and stress techniques through the Fear-Free program that has been started by the wonderful Dr. Marty Becker. And yep, she is also host, not one, but 2 shows here on our network, Pet Life Radio. We're talking about 9 Lives with Dr. Cat and Dr. Cat Gone to the Dogs. We're going to talk more with Dr. Cat after we take this quick commercial break. So you guys sit and stay. We'll be right back.
time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. Oh Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Pause up, everybody. This is your host, Arden Moore, and guess what? I wear different collars in the pet world. I am also a master instructor in pet first aid and CPR, and I have some great news for all you. Safety is one of the best skills you can learn for pets that you have and those that you care for from other people. That's why I'm excited to let you know we now have a 2-day online interactive pet first aid instructor program. Yep, I have teamed up with Pro Pet Hero, and I am your instructor. We use Zoom technology, which is great, so you can be wherever you are in North America. I can tap into you, and we have a class of up to 6 people at a time for 2 days, and we teach you all the veterinary approved hands-on skills to become a pet first aid and CPR instructor. To learn more, please go to propethero.com. This is your chance to be your pet's best health ally.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Marty Becker, and I'm proud to be part of Arden Moore's Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I have communicated with Dr. Kathryn Primm by email, so this is a delight to be able to hear you live voice. The next best thing is to catch you at a conference or see you in person, Dr. Kat, but you are doing a lot. And folks, in addition to her own practice and hosting 2 radio shows and being part of the one of the leaderships in the fear-free movement for pets, she also is the resident vet for iHeartDogs.com and iHeartCats.com. You want to talk a little bit about that?
You know, that has been a really fun experience. I used to write a couple articles a week for those venues, and it got kind of busy. And like you said, I own my practice and I speak nationally. And so now I'm just sort of a resource for them to reach out, but I still have a little bio page. That has been just a really fun partnership to be a part of iHeart Dogs and iHeart Cats, and I enjoy it a lot.
Now, when you grew up, I know you're with the Barbies with your pets, but when did it click to you to say, when I grow up, I'm going to become a veterinarian?
Well, you know, I wrote a book, actually, and it's called Tennessee Tales, Pets and Their People. And in the opening chapter, I talk about how I've always wanted to be a vet. And my father, who's now, in his 80s, he says that when I was born, if they had opened up my head, a little horse would have trotted out. So horses were my first passion towards animals. So I thought that horses led me to vet school, but once I got there, I actually found that I'm really drawn and passionate about the care of all animals.
Okay. And what's the 411 on your critters at home? What do you have?
I have a rescue dog. I have a rescue dog and then a rescue cat. We joke and say that my cat was a foster cat, and he's being fostered now for about 3 years. So we might classify him as a foster failure because he's not going anywhere.
Let's call him a foster success. What do you think? Because you know what? You figured out he deserves to be with you, right?
Well, I couldn't. We were just going to keep him for one weekend. One of my clients found a litter of kittens. And so I brought him home, and I told my husband and my son that he's just going to stay here for the weekend. But it was Friday afternoon when she brought him in, and he was really small, his whole litter. And come Monday, we were like, okay, well, he can stay just a little longer. And then he stayed.
So what is his name?
His name is Scamper. And I also have a rescue standard poodle that I got from a bad situation. She was very thin and hadn't been cared for appropriately. And she's the best dog ever, and her name is Sky. So Sky and Scamper are our fur family.
Is with an E or just SKY?
With an E.
Okay, just want to make sure. I don't want to get a dog mad at me. How do Sky and Scamper get along? Are they buds?
Oh, they're total buds. I think Sky thinks Scamper is her puppy. And so she looks for him and watches out for him. And I mean, it was just really cute.
Oh, that's cool. So it's all right so it's better to say foster success, right? Like
right.
when I teach kids I go to the SPCA of Texas and I teach the kids at Critter Camp with my dog and cat. And I call them shelter alums because I just think there are some really great shelters out there that are stepping up their game. And it's, your words do matter, whether to a dog or a cat, they may not know what the word is or how to spell it, but with your fear-free training, they certainly know how to interpret your emotional state, right?
Well, our body language, human beings communicate verbally, but animals communicate with body language. So they're watching. So if their owner is nervous about taking him to the vet or putting him in the carrier or whatever, they can tell. So you've got to kind of take a deep breath and face what you're up to. So yeah, they're so tuned in.
So it sounds like you have to fake it till you make it when it comes to your emotional state, right? So how do you get yourself from not being nervous? That deep breath helps?
I think a deep breath helps. I think that having the resources where you feel confident that you're addressing these things, looking at the fear-free things, talking with your veterinarian, I think building your confidence helps completely with this issue.
Well, that sounds good because I think there's a lot going on at the other end of the leash or the other end of the carrier. And speaking of carriers, is there some tips you can give people when they have little dogs or they have cats in their carrier and they're bringing them into the vet clinic? I feel like the cat or dog feels like they're on a bad cruise ship. So how
Absolutely.
How do you properly carry them in?
Well, you don't swing them. They have the handle on the top. And people can swing them, like a little girl skipping along with her basket. You don't want to do that. You want to put both of your hands under the carrier and keep it as level as possible. And you don't want to tip it and you don't want to swing it because, yeah, you're right. It could feel like a bad cruise ship if you have too much motion in there.
Yeah, motion ain't good for a pet coming in. All right, well, that sounds good. Now, the other thing that sometimes there is a connection to, and you're the veterinarian, not me, but you'll see that a dog or a cat are having a little digestive issues, and it may be a medical condition, but talk a little bit about how stress can really upset a tummy.
Well, stress causes the release of hormones inside the animal, and these hormones can change things. If you think about how an animal has to exist in the wild, they kind of have to develop a survival mentality, like a fight or flight situation. So when you box your cat up and take them to the vet, they're really on high alert. But that can be a detrimental response if it goes on too long. So like, for example, in a boarding situation or when you get a new pet, then you should certainly talk with your veterinarian about ways to sort of make that a little easier, make that transition better, and create a better environment inside your pet's body so that the stress hormones are minimized and don't do bad things instead of what they're really meant to do.
So a big no-no is to make a dramatic switch, especially for cats in a diet. Let's say you were getting product A and, oh my gosh, at Costco or Sam's, there's a big bargain price on product B, and you just abruptly shift the diet to your cat or dog, and then your cat is irping on the floor. So what's happening if you make a dramatic shift and switching diets?
Well, you want to make changes, any kind of change you want to make gradually, because animals process stress differently, and a sudden change, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, your pet's diet and food, they depend on that for survival. So I usually recommend, we call it the 3-3-3 rule. Okay. You go 1/3 of the new food and 2/3 of the old food for 3 days. And then you go half and half for 3 days. And then you do 1/3 old food and 2/3 new food for 3 more days so that the transition is smooth, and 3-3-3 is easy for my clients to remember.
Okay, and because what's happening inside that belly when there's a different food coming in a bigger quantity?
The bacteria that your pet depends on in their gut to help them digest food are pretty picky, and we can change the environment of the bacteria, and that will create an overgrowth of a colony of bacteria that hasn't been there before, or just a change in that balance, and that can cause diarrhea and stomach upset, and nobody really wants that.
No, I love to hear the word diarrhea on my show. All right.
I'm here to serve.
So slow and steady and the 3-3-3 rule can help dogs and cats make a switch, right?
Absolutely. It can just smooth it out. And talk to your veterinarian, too, about things like probiotics and that kind of stuff, because your veterinarian is an excellent resource to help you and your individual pet.
Probiotics and prebiotics, those seem to be the buzzwords these days, but you need to shop smartly, correct?
Yes, absolutely. There are resources out there, and of course your veterinarian is one, but unfortunately, there are charlatans in the world that pick up on these buzzwords and then try to capitalize on that. And so you want to do your research on any product that you give to your pet and talk with your veterinarian, because there is certainly an opportunity for your money to be taken and maybe even your pet to be hurt. So yes.
So when you're talking about probiotics and prebiotics, these are just, when chosen smartly, they really are supplementing what they're eating that may not be in the diet necessarily. Or how would you describe the role that pro and prebiotics play?
Well, there's a lot of really cool research that discusses how the bacterial balance inside of our gut is actually a part of our well-being, that our brain chemistry can depend on that balance. So probiotics and prebiotics just help make the flora of the bacteria in our guts or our pets' guts a little more positive and a little more balanced. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea. The research is indicating that it's a really good idea, and it can't hurt as long as you choose wisely.
Speaking of choosing wisely, I was at Global Pet Expo earlier this year. I got to see Dr. Marty. We were in the new pet product area goofing around when we met. But what was really noticeable are all the CBD products that are coming out there for pets. And as a veterinarian, it seems like it's the hot, popular topic. You know, we're talking about, and it's supposed to be curing everything. What's your cautions about using CBD oil? And we're not saying that our pets are smoking a joint, but can you help out a little bit from the veterinary standpoint?
I can. In fact, veterinarians in my state were not supposed to discuss it. It was governed by legislation, and only recently have we been able to discuss it. But I can tell you a personal story. I have a friend whose father, human father, is suffering from ALS. And so obviously she was very desperate to do anything that might help him. So she started looking into CBD oil, and she found a couple of products, but she's super smart and very scientific. So she sent the products that she was going to give to her father in to have them independently tested, because she didn't want to create any problems for him.
Right.
And actually they tested positive for things like lead.
Oh my gosh.
It is an unregulated industry, and so you have to be super duper careful. There are products on the veterinary market that have a certificate of authenticity of testing, so you have to do your research, because it just frightened me that she could have given her father, who's already ill, something with lead in it. That's just very scary to me.
And you're, as a veterinarian, you're getting more and more people that are thinking about, well, if it's good for me, it's good for my pet. So is that something now you ask in a, when you're taking the history of the pet, what are you doing, giving your pet, what things are you giving to your pet besides food and the medications? Is that kind of entering the conversation for you?
We always ask about nutraceuticals and supplements, because there can be drug interactions. And if you don't really know what all herbs and things a pet is on yet, you need to know that for sure.
All right. When you have like 3 seconds a week to have fun, what's something you like to do?
Well, I love to kayak. And so I head out on the river. Fortunately, in Tennessee, we have lots of rivers and lots of waterways, and it's just extremely scenic and beautiful with the mountains here. And so I just like to be outside whenever I can get there.
That sounds good. So how do folks find out how to reach you more? I know you have your website, which is drprimm. That's for drprimm.com. But what's some other ways that people can find you?
Well, my biggest way is on Facebook, because Kathryn Primm DVM is a Facebook page and a lot of followers, and it's just fun. I have a lot of conversations. People post things on my wall, and I get an opportunity to answer. And I think that any person that has a question, other people have the same question. So I just try to either answer it or provide a resource for good information. And I know that's what you do as well. And that's why I do the podcast, because there's so much bad information out there. I just want to be a source of good, positive information for pet lovers everywhere.
Well, again, and I want you all to tune into her shows here on Pet Life Radio. We're talking, of course, the shows are called 9 Lives with Dr. Cat, which I think is hilarious because that's with a K, and Dr. Cat Gone to the Dogs. Too bad your middle name wasn't Bowser. Then you could have a cat and a dog name in your name.
Yeah, I need to talk to my mom about that.
Oh, that's great. Hey, I really feel honored to have you as a guest on our show. And folks, here is the real deal. She's there to help you and your dog and your cat, and she's stepping it up for pets everywhere. And again, I want you to check out the Fear-Free Happy Home site. Dr. Primm is the first of many that have been certified in this program, and it's really making a difference in the lives of our pets. So I really thank you for being a guest on our show today, Dr. Cat.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right. And I also want to reach out and salute our producer, Mark Winter. He is the one behind the success of all the shows on Pet Life Radio. This is the largest network on pets on the planet. And I can't wait till we do a satellite one on the moon. Just teasing. But you never know. Things can happen. So until next time, everyone, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.